Many of us spend most of our time inside of a wood box or a concrete box that we call our home, and we don't really get in touch with nature. Well, diffusing and inhaling essential oils are one way to do that. Let's talk about that. I'm Dr. Peter Minke. This is Minke Wellness. And let's talk for a little bit about diffusing and inhaling essential oils to enhance our environment, the quality of the air around us, to uplift the spirit, and to get back in touch with nature. When you start talking about essential oils, I have a little bottle of essential oil here, is myrtle, for example. This is kind of like a little bottle of nature sitting right inside my pocket. When we go out to a forest, pine forest, or we get to experience the freshness of the aromatic compounds that the plants are putting in the air, and we just have that uplifted feeling, that communing with nature, that moment. And it seems so natural and revitalizing and invigorating. We can have that. I mean, it's difficult for us right now in our current modern culture to escape to a piney forest or some kind of fresh garden. If you have that, great, but most of us don't have that opportunity whenever we want it. Well, with the bottle of essential oil, we do. That is essentially what we have. We've got a flower garden or a piney woods or some kind of forest right there in our pocket that we can engage with. So inhaling and diffusing essential oils can really put us back in touch with nature, which is, of course, where the garden that God put us in at the beginning, and we're getting a little closer to that when we have essential oils. So let's talk about techniques of inhaling and diffusing. Let's start with just inhalation because it's so simple to discuss and show. And when we're talking about inhaling an essential oil, a lot of times people will make this mistake. They'll get their bottle of essential oil and they'll sniff at it and they'll think that they're doing an inhalation. I don't consider this an inhalation. I consider this just a whiff or a sniff. That's your teasing your body with a little bit of the oil. But I don't really consider that an inhalation, because the reason I don't is because the only thing that you smell are the highest, most volatile components that are coming out of here. So you're really not getting the full experience of the whole oil. The heavier molecules probably are not making it out of here in the same way that the smaller molecules are. So you're really only getting half of the oil, or not a complete picture of the essential oil. So what I consider to be an inhalation is to actually get a few of these drops out, 1, 2, 3 drops or so of essential oil, and then I'll do a gentle spread. And really a deep inhalation, feel that oil penetrate up into the nose, down into the lungs. So 3 deep inhalations. Now I'm really getting to experience that. That's what I consider to be an inhalation. Sometimes I just want to have it waft over me. I don't necessarily want to, really an intense, and I'll just put, maybe in that case, I'll put 1 drop and spread it and kind of do a kind of thing like this, where I'm getting an exposure to that oil. I get the aroma of that around my head and all, but I'm not necessarily doing a deep inhalation. So that can be a very nice way to experience the oil, either a very soft, very 1 drop kind of spread around, or a little more intense inhalation where I'm putting that in there. So that's really what I consider to be an inhalation. Now, when we talk about diffusing, here we're talking about using some kind of mechanical device, typically, that will put the oil into the air. You can do it what's called a hand diffuser, and just for watching this video today, I'm going to give you a free hand diffuser. How about that? Can't beat that, right? A free hand diffuser. Well, here we go. Here's our free hand diffuser. I put 3 or 4 drops of oil in my hands. I rub them together and waft it around the room. Here it is. And then if you do that, honestly, if you get 4 or 5 drops and you waft it around the room just like this, wave your hands until the air is moving over your hands, there's your diffuser, right? So a free hand diffuser, there you go, you've got it. We laugh, but I actually do this when I go to a hotel room. I'll get some purification as an oil blend called purification, and I'll take 10 drops of that, put it in my hand, and I'll waft it all around the room, and it totally kind of defunkifies the room. You get that little nasty smell of hotel, or even worse, they've put some kind of plug in, get rid of the toxic fragrances. If you haven't heard that, go listen to that video, watch that video. Get rid of the most dangerous toxin in your life right now, which is the toxic fragrance, synthetic fragrances. So to help wash away all that stuff, I'll take that plug in, hide it, put it in a bag, and then I will take my free hand diffuser, and I'll waft around. So there's my free hand diffuser. Now, there are mechanical diffusers. If you're traveling, they have travel diffusers. I won't go over those, but I want to show you, basically, there's two basic types of diffuser. There's the ultrasonic diffuser, which uses water, so there's a water-based diffuser, and then there's the forced air diffuser, considered to be a cold diffuser. There are other types, but I'm not going to go into all those. So I'm going to show you just a few of these that we have, and give you an idea of how and when and what we do with diffusing. Okay. Sorry, I disappeared for a moment. Here is our typical water-based diffuser, and I gotta line this up so that thing matches. Okay, so here is what we call the dewdrop diffuser that Young Living has, and very simple, and it only has 3 parts. Here's the cone that I just dropped on the floor, and then this is the inner cone. So very simple. This part right here is where you put the water. Now you don't fill it up past that red mark. Okay, anyone that has, and some of them have just a post. Don't go past the post if it's not a red mark, but don't fill it up past that. It won't work. And then every once in a while, this little ring inside, there's a metal plate that has to be replaced. So if your diffuser stops working, you might need a replacement of that. But basically, very simple. You add the water, you put your oil in, and you're ready to go. This, of course, plugs into the wall, and it has lights, and there's all kinds of different things, and there's various ways that they time. Some will time for different lengths of time and all the rest of that. But how much oil you put in and how much water you put in will dictate how long it goes, or at least the water anyway. And so how much oil? Amy likes to put in 7 drops. I like to put in 10 to 15. I kind of usually do twice what Amy typically does, my wife Amy. And so this is one that it's a water-based diffuser, and what it does ultrasonically is it vibrates the water, and the water comes out as vapor, and the essential oil is piggybacking with that water vapor. Now, there are some times when either you don't want the water vapor in the air, or you want to have a more intense experience of the oil, where you need a lot more than what this can put out. This can really, like I said, if you put in 10 drops, that's about the most you're going to get out of that at any one sitting. But sometimes you want a lot more essential oil. And here's where we go to the forced air diffuser. The best forced air diffuser that we have is this one called the TheraPro, and it has these dials that will crank up. This will be full strength, and then it has rest and run phases. So you can put it run for 5 minutes, rest for 20 minutes. And anyway, what this does is it puts the oils, it hooks straight up to the bottle of essential oil. In this comes the vapor comes out the cone. See, there's no water in this. This is just the pure oil vapor coming out. And you can go through a whole bottle of oil in a very short period of time. And you might say, oh my gosh, that's expensive. Well, it depends on what you're doing it for. But for when we want to really get the odor of a house changed, where we want to get a state change of the house, where we're tired of the way things are in a house, and we'll do what we call bomb a house. We'll go in and take 2 or 3 of these diffusers and put one in each room. I've even done it underneath the house and diffused 4 full bottles of Thieves or Purification or some kind of a potent oil blend to help purify the house. And I cannot do that without a forced cold air diffuser. It won't work. You've got to have a lot more oil than what the water diffusers can put out. So here's the typical. There's a couple different versions of this. If you want to go to the old school glass nebulized diffuser with the well, this is called a well diffuser. And you put the essential oil in this side, and it diffuses out this. So this one you can add, I usually add about 60 drops of oil to this, and this is the old style fish pump kind of thing, and it pumps air through this, and it sputters, and you get the vapor coming out the top. We have broken so many of these because the tubing gets caught. Someone drags it off the counter or whatever. And so many years of breaking these things. We've got a number of these diffusers, and we've got just the one TheraPro. But these are the two forced cold air diffusers that we have and that Young Living offers. There's actually the pyramid one that is this same kind of one. Is that same kind? Okay. We also have a number of different of these water-based diffusers. They come in different varieties. I'll go back to the ultrasonic. So this is the Dewdrop. There's another one that has a little flower one called the Home Diffuser, and then there are other ones like the Rainstone and the Aria that plays music. The Aria plays music and everything. But we also, if you haven't seen these, great for the kids' rooms. They've got these diffusers that, where the stuff actually, smoke comes out the top and it's got a red light and everything. It's fabulous. And the way to work this one is, and the actual diffuser mechanism, you push the two buttons and it drops out of the bottom. And here's where it's just like the Dewdrop. In other words, you just fill up. In this case, it's only got two parts. It's just got the one cap and the basic device, if I can get that off. It's very simple. It pops right off. It actually does, but for whatever reason, it's not coming off right at the moment. But that you open this up and you've got the same kind of thing. You just put the water in there. In this case, it doesn't have a post. It just, you want to fill it up to below that line. There's a line in there. So anytime you see a line in there, it's actually pretty important. It won't work if you overfill it. So if you're overfilling it, if you're not getting the results and it might be because you're overfilling. And some people say, well, what kind of water? I usually use some kind of filtered water in there. I don't think it really matters. If the instructions say otherwise, then go ahead. But this is this little mechanism that pops into the base of this. Obviously, if it had water in it, you wouldn't be doing it this way. You'd have it on the table and slip it over, and it pops in place, and then you plug it in and turn it on. Now, what's also nice about this system is, so we've got the Dinosaur one for our son's room, our fourth son, and then we've got the I call it the mermaid, although it doesn't have a mermaid on here, but the dolphin diffuser, colorful pink, for the girl, and she likes the pink. So this thing will actually pop into this as well, so you can switch them out. Of course, when you buy this, you can either buy it as just the cover or it comes with the thing anyway. So it's very versatile. This is a great little fun little system that you can use for the kids. And again, this is basically the same ultrasonic water diffuser that we were talking about. So what would we do for the kids? Yes, I would put in 10 or 15 drops, and it would diffuse throughout the night. You can turn off the lights if they don't like that, but you can put in whatever oil you want. We like to put in calming stuff for nighttime and that kind of thing. So diffusing and inhaling essential oils can be powerful ways to enhance our air quality and our experience of our day-to-day living environment, and bring that nature right back into our homes. And as simple as having it in our pocket, doing an inhalation, or putting it in the air around you with the diffuser. So really highly recommend in allowing yourself that connection, to reconnect with nature in a way that only essential oils can give us. We just can't get that any other way. Even going out to nature, even in our modern world, we don't get it, the kind of the intensity that we would get with the oils. So it's just a phenomenal way to get back in touch with the original essence of living out in nature and feeling the fresh air and all the goodness that comes from that. So take advantage of that, inhale it in. Happy wellness. We'll talk more.